Hello and welcome to Dance Bants. I'm your host, and who am I? I don't know, and that's why I'm only wearing white t-shirts from now on. And today I'm here with Kieran Crowe.
Kieran has been dancing since he was 8 years old, but found his passion for street styles as a teenager. He's one of the buggy bumpers and the winner of the International Light Fest online battle, the Mighty Morphin Mega Battle, and To The Top in 2020. He competed in Red Bull's Dance Your Style, Dance for Charlie XCX, Horror Show, and did a TED Talk in 2019 called How Dance Can Liberate Us. Please welcome Kieran Crowe.
Hell yeah.
Where are we?
In front of my cat Luna.
Kieran Crowe, what do you reckon?
Well, I reckon a lot of things. So I had to write a poem for you. I was hoping as when I said, say all this, you can have, there's pizza music in Spider-Man 2. He does delivery. So I want that playing in the background. Anyways.
Okay.
I reckon Way Too Many Things by Kieran Crowe. The Magic Mike show looks super lame, but maybe I'm just jealous of their bodies and their pay. You should stop screaming, let's go, not only because I can't hear Caitlin Watson teach, but also it's creeped into my vocab, and I hate that. The following words have been tarnished. Art and spiritual. Whoa. You're not a creative director, you just choreographed a video. Teachers should stop trying to fuck their full-time students. We should call out anyone who teach kids a routine to inappropriate music, like 34 plus 35 by Ariana Grande. Yes, even your friends. 95% of full-time students won't get an agent. We need to rethink and have a discussion about how we talk to them pursuing dance after their course. We should teach kids how and encourage them to choreograph and freestyle. This may help them find their voice early. The dancers with the best energy are Vogue dancers and dancehall dancers. We should bridge the gap between commercial dance and street dance. There's a lot that communities can teach each other. We should periodically extend gratitude to those before us who taught us and nurtured the scene we inhabit today. And if it wasn't for Patrick Keogh, Matthew Godey, and Jordan Hill, I'd most likely be a nobody who couldn't dance. That's just all my opinion.
Shit. Wow, thanks, Kieran.
You're all good.
Nice handwriting.
Thank you.
Wow, and that's so hardcore. I'm so amazed about that. Wow, awesome.
I know it's really full on and it sounds like I'm bitter, but I just care about the scene, and that's my awkward way of trying to showcase how I feel.
Cool. Maybe you could have a crack at You Should Stop Screaming, Let's Go.
Look, again, I'm just poking fun. I think class etiquette does get thrown out the window sometimes. And it's not even prevalent. I mean, a lot of the classes I do now, they don't really have a let's go person in them.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say how much it actually happens because I don't personally experience it, but I've just seen it in certain people's classes. And look, I'm not saying be a fucking strict cunt and never laugh and have fun in a class. It's not what I'm saying at all. I think there's you just have to self-reflect a bit and just go, am I screaming because I want Caitlin to notice me, or am I just genuinely in the moment? And if you're genuinely in the moment, fuck yeah. You can kind of feel it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You can kind of feel it when you're in the room and you're just
Yeah, well, that's why this topic has come up so many times, and I always end up editing it out because we don't quite get it right, or it's very from an angry point of view. There's so many alternatives that could come out of your mouth as a genuine response to what you're seeing, if that's really how you're feeling, that this is so great, I need to express it through loud sound, which is something that you don't usually do anyway.
Do you remember when that Netflix show Cuties came out?
Yeah.
Right? Everyone was fuck that, and so we should have said fuck that. That was gross. I only watched 5 to 10 seconds of the trailer and I was nope, that is so fucked up. But what I don't understand is that shit kind of happens a little bit in the community. There are young kids getting taught some really inappropriate dancing, and it needs to be addressed. And if you have a problem with cuties, you should 100% have a problem with your friends doing it. There's nothing wrong about dance through the ages has actually addressed sexuality and sexual preference all through the ages, right? Ever since early contemporary works really push for LGBTQ rights, all this type of shit. That is fine. I think that's all good. But now it's just this but it appears from what I've been shown that the kids getting taught it are just getting younger and younger and younger. And like I heard someone teaching a fucking routine to 34 plus 35. Like, come on, like fucking do the math. Come on. She says something like, open my door and come inside or something. Like, I don't understand. How can that be a thing? Like, how is that a fucking thing that people are teaching that and getting away with it? I'm not even like one for cancel culture. I think cancel culture is pretty intense. I feel like each moment that there's like something like that happens, we just need to address it and we need to like use it as a moment to learn from, right? But we like to point fingers outside of the community, but when it happens inside, it doesn't appear that people are really like getting to the crux of the issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's sad. And again, like it's I say this with like such intensity. It doesn't seem like super prevalent, but it does appear to be happening.
It happens. Yeah, I've been in a class like that. They should probably make their classes like 18 plus if that's the theme.
Agreed. That is actually, I had never thought of that. That's brilliant. Tag it as R-rated.
Woo. Yeah.
Heavy.
Okay, before we continue, I guess I haven't addressed this yet, but obviously there's going to be people that disagree and that consider this kind of conversation just like hating. What do you think about that?
Like what being negative?
Yeah, being negative.
As in like when you talk about something, people are like, oh, you're just being negative or bullying or something.
Yeah. Because I've had that, response to my podcast before.
Yeah. Okay, so there's two roles to play. There's the role of the person saying this, and then there's the person who reacts to it. The person saying it. So in our case, as long as we talk about these issues from a place where we really care about people, there's no issue. Like everything we just spoke about and have been speaking about, I feel is just this like issue that we feel needs to be addressed because it would benefit the community if we were able to work through it. It's from a place of love. We really just want to see everyone be safe and have like a beautiful journey with dance, right? So as long as we're on this side doing that, that's amazing. Now there's the other side that you can't always, you can't control the response. But I do feel like we need space for honest communication. And look, like, of course, like you're just fucking filming this, like chilling. I'm here talking. Maybe not everything we say is going to be 100% correct, but there needs to be a place for nuance in conversations. Like, I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. We need to like have a conversation about it to build upon it. So criticism will always come and you just got to kind of deal with that. But it's certainly not negativity from this end.
Yeah.
So like politically, a lot of people are very happy, for example, to be like, you're wrong, like politically, right? Like everyone's like, fuck Trump, right? But then, and their reasoning would be because he fucking is like, I'm assuming for these people, like I'm also a fuck Trump, but like, let's not get political. But it's because they think that he is doing something bad for the world or their community, right? So why can't we do that for this fucking local community? And it's like, it's never like, I forget who said this, but someone said like when we're talking about shit like this, it's never a war on people. It's never a war on people. It's a war on ideas. And we're discussing ideas and we're not the ideas. The ideas are here, right? Whenever attacking anyone, it's just like, this is a thing that's a thing. Like we should work through it together, like both sides, like whether we agree or not, we should find some sort of consensus at least of like, this would be the best way forward for whatever issue it is.
Yeah. In my experience of people getting upset by what is said, it always appears that they're the person on the receiving end of the criticism.
And that's a tough gig as well. Like it's hard because you also got to kind of show empathy for that person as well. Like sometimes people just, that's just how they react to things. You know, it's like their upbringing all the way until that point has been like made them the person they are today. And then you say something that like they really are attached to or they identify themselves with, and they're just like, oh fuck, you're like attacking me. And it's like, no, I'm not attacking you, but that's the way that they will react because that's just it's the way we've all been brought up. I have my triggers. I'm sure I have my triggers. Like, I'm sure if you said something, I'd be like fucking losing my shit. We all are like that. But I think if we can all remember at the end of the day that like, these are just ideas. It's never a war on people. And we're coming from a place of love to move the community forward, then it can't be negativity. It's just like, it can't be like, and again, it's like, we can always admit when we're wrong.
Word. Fuck
Both sides.
Full-time students won't get an agent. Oh, let's talk about some options for full-time students. So what do you think are some options and things that full-time students can know about?
Like there's levels to it. So firstly, I think going back to the teaching thing, I think you can do a lot to like prep them as a teacher. So for instance, like a lot of dancers will get work as dance teachers. So there's definitely room for discussion on how to choreograph, how to create a routine, how to create effective routines, how to deal with young kids. You know, there's like so much room there for that. Auditions, how to be in an audition, how to like, that's kind of, this is how I actually pitch the freestyle thing to them. I'm like, you're going to get an audition. They're going to be like, we want to see 2/8 at the end. So I'm like, this will be like part of the prepping for that. We need to talk about it because it's true. Like you see it year after year, like all these people just come through and then like 1 or 2 of them go to Jeep and they're like one of like 500 and they'll get like 1 gig every 2 years. And it's like, it's a tough business in Australia because dance in Australia is not appreciated like it is overseas. But if like you're looking for something more, like go travel. I think traveling really opens your mind because when I went traveling, that just like blew my mind. It was like you'd meet so many dancers that are like, oh, I do this thing in a cool show. And it's like, I didn't even know that was like a thing. Circuses sometimes really like dancers. If you enjoyed performing, that's a really good avenue. I myself with my sister created a Fringe Festival show. That was really cool. And we were inspired by Sleep No More. So we were like, oh, let's create like an immersive thing. So it was set inside a bar and you follow us around. So that was really cool. Like that was like a new, for me, a personal new, like, oh, there's like a new avenue I can explore. If you like music a lot, and you got some favorite artists, send them a submission video. And this is why like the teaching comes back to the teaching of like, how do you choreo? How do you like do all this kind of thing is really important because it preps people for like whatever path they want to take. It's like, oh, now you can choreo. You can either become like a superstar workshop teacher or you can like choreograph for an artist or you can create your own show. Like, it's just like these basic skills that kind of help them realize different paths. And it's like, I think like one thing I would encourage is try everything as well. It's kind of like the advice that people give parents. I'm like not a parent, but I've heard the advice is that like you just let your kid try everything and then they'll eventually find the thing that they want to do. So I think it's like if you're stuck as like a full-time student, you're like, I don't know what to do, just try fucking everything and then see what sticks. I guess a lot of the work is entrepreneurial. I guess you can like look up like, I don't know, fucking Gary Vee or something, like find some shit that whatever works for you. Learning how to like market and talk to business people. Like there's, I don't know. Again, I'm not the best, but there's certainly, and that's why I mean, there needs to be a discussion because I'm not the successful dude outside of full-time. Like, I don't fucking know. I'm just like, it's just the thought occurred to me that I was like, oh, this happens. So
individuality. That's how I started off. So I reckon that every single issue that we've identified over the episodes of Dance Bands, I believe it comes from fear and a fear of being an individual. So that stems all the way from like not being friendly to strangers in the classroom because you're like, how are my friends going to think of me? Turning up in the same clothes as everyone else because you're trying to make sure that you're going to be accepted. Not coming to a new event because you think it's going to make you look lame, or not holding a new event because you're afraid. Any variation of those issues, if you were to view the dance industry as a collective mind or as if it was a person, we're lacking on the side of self-help, which is like the nourishment of the scene, which is like free events, fun events that aren't for any outcome or that don't serve a great purpose that will go onto the internet world, or show and tell situations, or just imparting something that you've learned, being vulnerable or doing something embarrassing. That's what I think about a lot. And I think about that when I see Kieran.
Wow. Thank you. I can only say that the lessons I've learned about being uninhibited, and I don't think I'm the most uninhibited, free-spirited person there is.
Neither am I.
But I'm trying, and maybe that's the thing that I'm doing wrong is I'm trying. But my friend Pat Kuo, I think everyone who has been close to him before, I've even just been in his presence, they know how he is, just generally speaking, like inside and outside the dance studio. And I learned a lot from him in my formidable years as a teenager. Just like, he was unapologetically him. That honestly is the best way to say it. And it rubbed off onto me. And I think the lesson there is the more that we can ourselves just kind of relax, self-reflect, and really delve into like who we are and being just us. So just as when you're on stage, you liberate yourself and you liberate your audience around you, just in normal everyday life, if you can just, it sounds so like hippie, but if you come from a place of like love and acceptance of yourself and others and of the experiences that, like, for instance, you've had all up until now and me from all up until now, the more we can do that, the more that kind of like trickles out into the relationships and the community outside of us. And I don't know if that would like 100% solve issues, but I do know, I don't fucking know anything, but it would be a nicer place to live in. Authenticity is like a breath of fresh air. And like you feel it around people like that. Like with Matt Godey, it's the same. I feel like when you're around him, he's like so him. There's just like people who just like are just them, and it feels so lovely to be around. And yeah, I think we should all strive to just be ourselves. But again, maybe strive's the wrong word. Maybe we should just be ourselves.
Yeah. I have a mate who always says that confidence doesn't exist. And as soon as you realize that, then you have it. So true. I think that students need to be reminded all the time that it's so simple and cliche to say that it's like lost its meaning, but no one's ever judging you because they're too deep in their own thing and being afraid of other people judging them, and that's why they judge as well.
And also, it doesn't even fucking matter.
Also, like the more you are, the more someone else is not going to like elements of it, because like everyone's got tastes and preferences. That's a really hard thing to accept. That's what I can't accept, is that like not everyone's going to like me, you know?
Yeah. Yes. And like, again, not a psychologist or anything, but it could be the thing. It's like what you don't like in other people, you don't like about yourself. Yeah. Or it's like they don't even, maybe you misread a situation. Maybe they do like you, but you just saw the wrong glance. Or maybe it's like something else. Maybe you remind them of someone else, and it's like not you, but it's like you just never fucking know. So like, why bother worrying about it if it's like you never know? And even if you go up and ask someone, like they might not even know. Like it's again, it always comes back to just you. If you're a good person and you lead a life from a place of loving kindness, then you know that's the best you can do as a person. And I think that's a really good thing to bring into dance, is like, you know, as a teacher, as a student, as a person of the community, you know, it really radiates outwards and it's contagious. So
have you ever shat yourself?
Not as an adult, but as a kid, heaps. I remember there's one time in particular, and I was at one side of the house and the bathroom's on the other side of the house, and I would have been like 4 years old. And I just remember a poo coming on, and I was like, oh fuck, here it comes. And I just ran. And then I got to like the door and I just pooped, and it just like was a really sad day. I remember I like had just missed it. It's like one of my earliest memories as well, which is like really fucked up, but yeah.
You had your pants on and everything?
Yeah, undies, pants, everything.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Did you just cry?
Yeah, I cried.
Cool. Okay. And are you afraid of dying?
I fluctuate between yes and no with that. Buddhist philosophy that like the sense of self is an illusion, and that like we're not our thoughts, our emotions, we're not our bodies, and that like consciousness just kind of is integral to being. And like people with near-death experiences and psychedelic experiences, and everyone says that like once you kind of go past that barrier or that illusion and you feel yourself become one with the universe, that makes me feel a little less scared. You know, the same way you can kind of look at a tree and like, is it alive? Is it not? Is it someone else that was here before? I know we're getting super trippy here. I actually had this realization the other day, and I was like, fuck, maybe life, like love is the basis of life, because like I go for morning walks, and was thinking about how much I love my cat. I go through Sydney Park, so there's all these people with their dogs, and I was just thinking to myself like, wow, you guys like love your dog as much as I love my cat, and that's like incomprehensible. It was like a flower and there's a bee buzzing around it, and I was like, maybe the bee like is in love right now, like with the flower. And then I'm looking at the flower to the sun, and I'm just like, oh no, it's just getting way too trippy. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe like when you like really break it down, all these like constructions that we put into our being, like all that's left is just like nature doing its thing, which is just this natural like rhythm of love.
Yeah, straight up.
I get what the mystics are talking about, like on like a intellectual level. I did have like a little moment, I guess, like embodying it, but on that kind of level, I kind of had a realization. I was like, wow, maybe it's like
deep. Yeah, nah. Yeah, nah. Have you ever stolen something?
Yes.
Do you have an enemy?
No.
Can you play a musical instrument?
Piano.
Can you sing?
I used to do singing as a kid, but I don't do singing now. So I'm going to say was a yeah, now a nah.
Ballet or jazz?
Jazz.
Wiggles or high five?
Wiggles.
Beginner tap or advanced tap?
I mean, this is the same. I can't remember what you said with Clarence, but like he said, like, am I doing the...
You're doing the tap.
Beginner.
Big show or intimate informal showing?
Big show.
Matt Corby at Splendor in the Grass or Carol's in the Domain?
Splendor.
Left turn or left kick?
Turn.
Yeah or nah?
Oh, yeah. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a video or anything that you really wanted to share?
I have a video of me doing a contemporary solo. Half my face is Spider-Man. And I just want you guys to know if you're a shit dancer, you don't have to be. You just keep trying. And this is the proof.
Oh, you did a TED Talk.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I did.
Tell us about your TED Talk.
Essentially, I was just thinking to myself, I was wanting something more out of life, man. So I was like, as a dancer, like, what do I do? What is it that I offer society? Because like I kept thinking like, and this is part of my talk, I say like doctors heal and teachers educate, right? Like they're adding something to society that like benefits everyone. So I was like, what the fuck am I doing dancing? Like it just felt so frivolous and empty. I just went on this little journey of like, well, there's got to be something. There's got to be some reason why dancing exists. And essentially the conclusion I came to was like, everyone has their everyday struggles that they deal with. Like everyone has baggage. And one way that people alleviate their suffering is through watching entertainment. So my role is to make sure that I offer something that alleviates that suffering. And the way I kind of put it in there, not so eloquently, you know, when you're just watching someone and they're on stage and they're just like uninhibited and you're like so in the performance with them, like that sense of self thing we're talking about, like just disappears and you're just in it. That I think is the goal. At least as a performer, it's not even like a goal. It's like a responsibility that each time we're on the stage, we like liberate ourselves so that we liberate our audiences. And then I was like, okay, well now I can see a little bit more purpose in what I do. Yeah, that was what my TED Talk was about. And I kind of talk about...
So cool you did a TED Talk.
It's a TEDx talk, so it's different. So it's a different thing. Like TED is like the actual smart people. TEDx is like not even owned by TED. It's an independently owned TED. Let's just make that distinction. I had a revelation like maybe a couple years ago. I went into a library and I was just in the philosophy section. I was like, I'm just going to wander around here like I'm smart. And then I saw this thing that said the philosophy of teaching. So then I picked it out and I opened up the book. And the first line forever changed me. It said, the role of the teacher is to become obsolete. I, through all my training, have gotten all this wisdom, knowledge, experience. My role when I'm teaching is to pass on that knowledge as effective as possible so that one day these students no longer need me.
Fuck
right?
yeah.
So that's where I kind of have an issue with teachers because I feel like there's none of that questioning. It's not even anyone's fault really. Like when you think about like dance education, no one learns how to become a teacher. Like most teachers in every other sphere have to fucking go to uni for it. Don't even get taught how to choreograph. You just fucking watch it. Like, oh, okay, I guess it's like something like that, right? When I like asked that to myself, I was like, okay, what am I highly competent at? What should I really be teaching? And I realized like through the course of my career, some of the things that are common themes is I have a lot of fun when I dance. I put a large value in creativity as well. So most of my class is like silly games that introduce you to freestyle, being like, all right, and then you're going to copy them. And I've found that is like a really effective way to teach because I'm now just playing to my strengths. I'm not like trying to just fucking like, oh, there's another week of choreo, which is not a bad thing if you're doing that. It's just like, that's not my strength. Now I'm making more of an effective change. Another good example is like, I can only really teach hip hop, but I really love other styles as well. So like, I love popping. I love like fucking house or everything. I pretty much like all the styles, right? But I can't teach them because I'm not highly competent at them. So what I used to do, especially in Dom's full-time course, I used to bring in my laptop every week and I'd show them 3 videos from stuff that I don't do. And then they started to develop like critical thinking in the process. And like the first couple of weeks, you know, they're just like, oh, I think I like it. But then like after some encouragement, I was like, is there anything that you don't like? And they'd be like, oh, you know, I didn't really like that guy in the battle or like whatever. And like they start to slowly develop their thinking of things. And then third, if they were like, oh, I really like popping, it's like, I'm not going to teach that to you. But like if it was now, I'd be like, go to Jack's Newtown popping class. I say all of this to say that there are different ways that we can teach. I think we have a responsibility because people are paying a lot of money. And doing this process of figuring out what your strengths are, it's made class so much easier for me.
Yeah.
I have my fucking structure now. I don't even have to like think about choreo now.
Yeah.
I teach like 4 to 8 eights, maybe 8 eights, 4 eights, just because the studio expects it of me.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just have my the Kieran syllabus that I work through. So that's a really long-winded answer to your shit.
That's a really good way to put it. And that's quite comforting because I already worry about my obsolescence as a teacher and that like I'm running out of things to pass on because I've taught them everything I can do. But that's really great. I love that. Is there anything you'd like to talk about that's just in the front of your mind?
I don't know. I really wanted to talk about the teaching thing. So
that's good.
That's that. I mean, that's just kind of like the main thing I've kind of been thinking about recently is just like with the concept of dance and how it's taught and how we interact with each other. I think we can always question, and not in some like everything you know is wrong, man, but like we can like question every aspect of it and see what's the most effective, the most fun, the most creative way of exploring that. If your thing is choreography, what is the best way you can pass on that? Like maybe during warm up, you can do exercises that like will enhance that routine. Or it could be like a body control thing, or it could be like pathways that you're going to explore that lesson. And then when you're teaching the choreo, is there ways that you can explain the movement better? Is there ways, can you be more attentive in your class and like really break up the groups and be like, oh, okay, I need to be like individualized teaching for that person. Or if it's freestyle, like I found that there was a gap in studios for freestyle. So I decided that I was like, I'm not even the best teacher. I'm still exploring the best ways to do this. But I found like just by experimenting and being like, okay, what do I know? How can I help them? And just doing these little games, you can really like start to like change the course of like dance. And especially it's like, I think it's really important for full-time students and younger. And we can figure out better ways, more effective ways to kind of just get them into the dance world. And that's even talking about like how, like I mentioned in my little poem, what are they going to do after full-time? Like,
that's my question always.
Exactly. And it's like, of course you've got your, I don't know, Marco does the dream, and then there's agents that will get you work, and there's like nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. Like absolutely fine. But like there are other avenues, and we don't have that conversation enough to like guide these people. Like we forget, because you forget when you're this age as well, you're just like, oh yeah, I've gone through shit, like I know things a bit better, like they'll figure it out. Like no, like help them fucking figure it out. Be like, pre-COVID I would have said like, just don't even worry about an agent, go overseas and experience life. Like go fucking get some life experience, go take classes overseas, meet new people, like get new perspectives. Now it's a bit more difficult, but there's still things that they can do. It's like, oh, what do you want? You want to be a choreographer? Cool. Like watch these shows. I'm going on huge rants here.
I feel like it's such an Australian thing, but like that option of identity or like individualism to come into a student's mind because you're so wrapped up in how like needing to just fit in and be like the median of everyone else.
Yeah.
But how do you teach that? And like,
I like to kind of like talk to dancers and be like, look, like, what is, like, if I'm teaching a full-time class, I'm like, the real reason you dance is because you love it. Like, if we can just like constantly remember that, like, the reason we dance is because we love it. It either gives us like a spiritual outlet or like a discipline or whatever it is. But like, really at the end of the day, you really love it.
Thanks for coming.
That is all good.
Do you have any final words?
I think I've talked a lot of shit on this show and I don't want it to feel like, firstly, I don't represent like my crew or anything. If you really have something against what I've said, realize that this is my opinion and I'm very happy to talk about things, and everything has come from a place of love. And yeah, I just want to say, like, you know, I and the people around me really care about dance. I feel everyone does. And that's why we're so passionate about certain ideas. And I would love if we could all come together, man, and just like talk about these issues. Like even now when I'm like speaking about, like, think about what we spoke about, it's just like, oh fuck, like we really went there, but like it should be fine because we all just want the best for each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's that. Thanks for listening to my rants and thanks for having me.
Straight up. Fuck yeah. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching.